In this video, we are going to show how any fraction can be written as a decimal. Any fraction can be written as a decimal as long as it has a denominator of 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, basically your multiples of 10. So this one here is already a 1 over 10, so we can leave that because we have that multiple, we have that 10 to the power of 1. 1 over 20, however, is going to need to be changed into, oops, not 1, something out of 100, because decimals are in the tens place, the hundredths place, the thousands place, so we need fractions that have those same numbers as their denominators. So this 20th is going to turn into hundredths too. So this 1/10 up at the top can just be staying as 1/10, or you can turn that 10 into 100 if you want, with a 10 times 10 is 100, and then 1 times 10 is 10. So we're using this idea of equivalent fractions from 4th and 5th grade to turn these fractions into decimals. So 1/10 equals 10 hundredths, and we're going to shade that in. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hundredths. 10 are shaded in out of all 100 here. And we can see that this is one column out of 10. So this drawing represents how these fractions are the same. And then from there, this tells us that we have a 1 in the tenths place. So when we write our decimal, the tenths place needs the number 1 in it. This also tells us that we have a 10 that ends in the hundredths place. So I can write it another way as a 10 that ends in the hundredths place. So we can write this decimal two ways. And then finally, when we have our percent just means out of 100. So whatever you have over 100, that's your percent. It's 10%. So tenths are easy because you can just leave them as is and then write your decimal and your percent. Let's practice with changing a fraction into a hundredths fraction. So for 20, 20 needs to turn into a 100, so we can count by 20s to figure out what we can multiply it by. We have 20, 40, 80, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, that's times 5. So then 1 times 5 is 5. So 1/20th is equivalent to 5 100ths. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 hundredths. And this tells us that there's a 5 in our hundredths place. So when we write our decimal, there's nothing in the tenths place, but there is a 5 in the hundredths place. And once again, percent means out of 100. So we have 5 out of 100, so that's 5%. And then finally, down here, we're turning 20 into 100 again, so we're multiplying by 5 again. And then 3 times 5 is 15. So we have 15 hundredths. Shade in 15 out of the 100 squares. And this tells us the number 15 is going to end in the hundredths place because we have 15 hundredths. And out of 100 means percent, so that is 15%. And that's how you turn any fraction into a hundredths fraction, and then from there you can write it as a decimal and as a percent.